Hey, good afternoon everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to make mushroom and onion hand pies. Hand pies are a great item for lunches. You can heat them up in the microwave, you can eat them cold if you want. They're portable, they're not too messy, and they're pretty easy to make. The filling for these is pretty simple. I've got 1.5 pounds of pre-sliced brown mushrooms, which is kind of handy, and I'm going to slice up a couple of white onions, which I'm going to fry in some butter and some oil so the butter doesn't burn. And to get the water to come out and add flavor, guess what? They have pink salt in grinders now. That's how popular this stuff is getting, and it's not as expensive as it used to be. This was like $4. So for the onions, I do want a particular cut on these so they cook better. So cut your ends off. Cut them in half. Peel off the outer layer. Now once you've done that, what you want to do is you want to slice these really thin, just like this, so that when they cook up, you're going to get nice long strings. I'm going to be cooking these down quite a bit, and the strings work better to mix up the filling. So once your onions are all chopped up, start, I'd say 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter over medium heat in a non-stick. And considering the amount of filling, that's not that much. Add some oil to the pan at the same time. You don't really have to measure. A couple of tablespoons or so. Purpose of this is so the butter does not burn. You don't have to wait till it's completely melted. This is going to be cooking for a bit, so you can just start it right away. Just add the onions first. Salt that well. If you're not using one of these grinders, just basically sprinkle your salt shaker generously all over the top. Stir that up a bit with some tongs. Once that starts sizzling, add the mushrooms. The pan is going to be quite full. You can hear the water coming out already. Actually, you can see it at the bottom too. The reason I'm tossing these is just to get the salt moving with the mushrooms as well. Yeah, you can turn this down a little bit right to medium or even medium low. This is going to be cooking down gently, actually reducing a couple of times to get that really good flavor. So I'll just put a lid on that for now. This has been going for about 10 minutes or so. You can see that quite a bit of the water has come out. So this is going to be the first reduction. Now you can cook these any way you want. I find the way it tastes the best is what I'm going to do, where after the water comes out, I'm going to leave the lid off, let it cook right down till it starts to get sticky. Add some water and do it again. A couple of times till the onions are just gorgeous. And then you let it cool and get your dough ready in the meantime. So all the water has boiled off and it's starting to fry. As you can see, it's sticking just a little bit in a couple of spots. So this is the point where you put in, you don't have to measure it exactly, about 1/2, 3/4 of a cup of water. You can splash that in a bit at a time. And what you're doing with that is deglazing any stuck-on bits. So what I'm going to do next is I'll put the lid back on for about 5 minutes or so. See if I can get any more water out of those large pieces. And if not, then I'll just take the lid off and do that again. Well, it's been 5-10 minutes. I don't think those are going to get any smaller. So what I'll do is I'll just leave the lid off and let that cook down one more time. See how brown the onions are? If you're not going to do this more than once, you really should do this at low heat. If you're going to do it a couple of times, you can do it pretty quick on high, medium high. No problem, as long as you got the water ready. So you can see it's cooked down again. And what I'll do now is put it on low for a bit just to get it to dry out but not stuck to the pan, and then I'll let it cool off while I make the dough. And for the dough, I'm just going to be using one recipe of my Bao Dough, which is bun dough that you can use for pies as well. I'm just going to make that, and here's the link if you've never seen it before. It's been about 45 minutes and the dough's risen up nice. So I'll just give it a quick punch. And just knead it a little bit. And then I'll chop it into 12 pieces and make the pies up right away. I got my filling over here. That's cooled out. And I'll just show you quick how to do a couple. If you haven't seen me do this in another recipe. So first, just eyeball this and cut it into 12 pieces. Like I said before, you can weigh the dough or the filling or whatever you're using, but after you practice a bit, you are usually pretty good to just eyeball it. After I got the dough cut up, I'll just make a rough circle and just roll this out quickly. If you need to, just put a little bit of flour on the counter. And you're just doing rough circles. Okay, about that much dough. Just go over the filling quick for this kind of thing. If you're making 12 pies, just visually estimate a 12th, and the best way to do that is just do that in quarters first. And then you can see about how much is a third of that. And this is completely cold now. Just put that in the middle. Really make sure that you try to stay away from the edges. And pick up the far sides. And just pinch that like that. Okay. And just fold it over by pleating it. And just lay that on the baking sheet for now. It's got a piece of parchment around it. The oven's preheated to 375. Now I'm just going to take a sharp knife and poke 3 holes in each one. And I'm going to bake these at 375 Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. So the timer just went off. It's been 20 minutes. Let's pop these out, take a look. Yeah. None of them broke, which is always really nice to see. What I will do is just slip these onto a cooling rack and separate them briefly here. And then when they cooled off a bit, I'll cut one open and show you what they look like. So those are all cooling off there. And yeah, one of them's cool enough to pick up. And I'll just slice one open here so you can have a look. Still a little warm, as you can see from the smoke, or steam I mean. There you go. So there's the finished product. Crust came out even. Obviously the filling is cooked. It was cooked before it went in. And like I said, you can have these hot out of the oven or cold, just like that. So there's my mushroom and onion hand pies. Hope you try it. Hope to see you again.